Presentations. We're going to receive a presentation on San Mateo County's November all-mailed ballot pilot program by Chief Elections Officer Mark Church. Mark, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Pleasure to be here in the city of San Bruno. Joining me this evening is Jamie Carrillo, a member of my staff from the Elections Registration Division. So what is AB 2028? I just want to start by thanking you for the opportunity to give you a brief presentation on this. This is about an all-mail ballot pilot project for San Mateo County. And AB 2028 is an expansion of the Yolo County pilot program to include San Mateo County. And the purpose of including San Mateo County in the pilot is to allow for the collection of data from an urban county, which will provide the legislature with a more complete picture of the effects of all-mail ballot elections. San Mateo County was selected by the state legislature for this project because we are an urban and a diverse county. We have experience in conducting all-mail ballot elections, and there's a growing trend towards voting by mail in San Mateo County. In terms of how AB 2028 will be implemented, the pilot project applies to local special elections and to consolidated municipal, special district, and school district elections. It authorizes the county to conduct up to 3 elections entirely by mail until January 1 of 2018. And we are targeting all-mail elections for our November 2015 and 2017 local consolidated elections and one other local special election, which as of now has not yet been determined. So what are the requirements of AB 2028? Every voter will get a ballot in the mail, even if the voter has not signed up to vote by mail. And in this program, all return envelopes for the ballots will be postage prepaid. In our current vote-by-mail program, we do not pay the postage. Also, although we call this an all-mail ballot election, there will be a limited number of polling places throughout the county. And the law calls for at least 1 polling place in each city in the county. So voters will still have the opportunity to vote at the polls if they want. And like Yolo County, San Mateo will report back to the state legislature and the Secretary of State on such factors as voter turnout, election costs, demographic information, and will provide a comparison with prior elections run in the traditional format. The potential benefits are significant. We have found that elections conducted strictly by mail can lead to an increase in voter participation and cost savings. In May of 2011, as authorized by our county charter, we conducted a countywide all-mail special election to fill a vacancy on the Board of Supervisors, including 3 local school district measures. The turnout in that election was 26%. In contrast, a special countywide standalone traditional election was held in April of 1997 to fill a vacancy on the Board of Supervisors, and the turnout in that election was 15.6%. So the turnout for the countywide all-mail election was 10% higher than the traditional election. And the cost is also substantially less, about 1/3 to 1/2 the cost of a traditional election. For our county, in a traditional countywide election, we hire and train some 1,700 poll workers. We deploy and test over 1,400 voting machines, and we secure some 209 polling places. All of these costs will be eliminated under this program. All-mail ballot elections also reduce the risk of human error that come with employing a large number of poll workers. problems will be more efficiently handled with a significantly smaller, more experienced, and better trained and managed election staff. Most of the election day issues, ranging from technological difficulties with the voting machines to poll workers not showing up, will be eliminated. And another advantage of all-mail ballot elections is faster results on election night. That's something that the candidates like, and so does the press. With no precincts, a much greater portion of the ballots will be tallied soon after the closing of the polls at 8 p.m. So, who votes by mail now? This chart shows a breakdown of the registered voters by age group, and the dark green portion represents the number of voters who have signed to vote up by mail permanently, and the light green represents one-time vote by mail voters and polling place voters. And voters, this chart shows a breakdown of permanent vote by mail voters by party preference, and as you can see, there's not much difference between the two major parties. This next chart shows a breakdown of permanent vote by mail voters by city, and over the years, election turnout trends have shifted in the all-mail ballot direction. About 57% of our voters county-wide and 54% of voters in the city of San Bruno already prefer to vote by mail and have signed up to do so on a permanent basis. So more and more people are becoming familiar with voting by mail, and it continues to grow in popularity simply because it is convenient. This chart shows a breakdown by city of how voters cast ballots in the November 2013 consolidated local election, and the breakdown shows the percentage of voters who cast their votes by mail, including both permanent and one-time vote by mail voters, and those who cast their votes at the polls. And as you can see, in the city of San Bruno, 77% of the registered voters cast their ballots by mail, and only 23% cast their ballots at the polls in the November 2013 consolidated local election. So even though those voters who have signed up to vote by mail on a permanent basis in the city of San Bruno is around 54%, in actuality, 77% of the voters actually cast their ballots by mail in the November 2013 election, because that includes the one-time vote by mail voters as well. So now I want to turn it over to Jamie, who will cover the rest of the PowerPoint. Jamie?
Okay, so although AB 2028 calls for an all-mailed ballot election, it is important to realize that there are other voting options. So as with every other election, there will be one drop-off location located at each city or town hall for 28 days before the election during normal business hours. The only difference under the all-mailed ballot election is that those ballot drop-off locations will be open until the close of voting, so 8 p.m. on election day. Again, the same as every other election, we will have our two voting centers open beginning 29 days before the election. One is at 40 Tower Road in San Mateo. The other is 555 County Center in Redwood City. Those will be open during normal business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Saturday before the election from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then on election day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. There, voters can pick up a ballot, or they can vote in person, either on a paper ballot or with one of our accessibility machines. Again, so just to reiterate that on election day, there will be one polling place in each city, open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Voters can visit those to get a replacement ballot or to vote in person. The difference with with these polling places is that normally a specific polling place is assigned to a registered voter based on where they live. However, under AB 2028, registered voters may visit any polling place in the county. All polling places will have the ability to issue a ballot to any registered voter. So next steps for the county. We have been creating an outreach plan that will educate all registered voters on Assembly Bill 2028, but our outreach will especially target those voters who normally go to the polls on Election Day, so everyone is aware of what to expect. I think the most important thing is outreach is a collaborative effort, so any thoughts or ideas you may have, we would love to hear. Any community groups you feel like we should be reaching out to, that information is always helpful. So each one of you has a calendar for the November election in the packet in front of you. The deadline to call a candidate election for a city is 114 days before the election. However, that falls on a Sunday, so it is extended to 113 days, which is Monday, July 13th. Although under AB 2028, jurisdictions are required to request an all-mailed ballot election by 88 days before the election, which is Friday, August 7th. We encourage you to do so as soon as possible, and even tonight would be great. To authorize an all-mailed ballot election, you are required to pass a resolution. A sample resolution drafted by our county council was provided to the cities beforehand, and at the end of this presentation, we can answer any questions on that resolution. I'm going to skip down to the last bullet, the postmark +3. It's not specific to AB 2028, but I think it is highly relevant. In the past, a ballot needed to be received by the elections office by 8 p.m. on Election Day in order to count. However, with the passage of Senate Bill 29 last year, that has changed, and the deadline to receive a ballot has been extended. So now, voted mailed ballots must be either physically received by 8 p.m. on Election Day, or postmarked by Election Day and received no later than 3 days after the election, which in this case would be Friday after Election Day.
I just want to conclude by saying that the success of our all-mail ballot program will depend on the participation of every city, school district, and special district in the county. Everyone will need to participate, and the governing bodies will need to authorize by resolution the all-mail ballot election at least 88 days prior to the election. And as Jamie mentioned, a template of a resolution has been prepared for your consideration at the appropriate time. The state legislature will make its decision as to whether to embrace all-mail ballot elections, as some other states have, in part based on what happens here in San Mateo County. And so this is an opportunity for us to help shape the future course of elections in the state of California. And I hope that all jurisdictions will participate and take advantage of that opportunity. So again, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, thank you for the opportunity, and we're available to answer any questions.
Good. Thank you very much, Mark and Jamie. Any questions for Ken?
Yes, Mark. So if the council passes a resolution, then it's a go for San Bruno for 2015?
Yes,
November?
Yes, you will need to agendize this matter for to have the resolution adopted and targeting the November 2015 election. And if it is adopted by all the jurisdictions that have elections in November, then we will proceed with the all-mail ballot election. But every jurisdiction has to adopt the resolution.
Okay.
And so we are,
All
this
or
is the
not-
reason
all-
for
all
my
or
hoarse
nothing.
voice, is because we're going around to all the cities and school districts and special districts making presentations and explaining what AB 2028 is all about.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Appreciate it.